What is up, you guys? It is K Swan with Road Rash Off-Road, and I am here at one of my favorite places in Georgia, JK Land. You guys know that I spend a lot of time out here because I love these guys, and very rarely do I trust anybody else with the Road Rash machines. So we're actually here for a very special tune-up kind of session. It's something that they started called a 50-bolt torque test. Try to say that a couple of times. What they're going to do is go under the Road Rash machine and make sure that all the bolts on the suspension is torqued down to the correct specs. Now, usually if you're going off-road a lot like we do, then you find yourself articulating and hitting those rocks and off-roading. All of a sudden those bolts start to loosen up, and then you start getting all those clanky sounds that are coming from the Jeep. We're going to take care of that today, and we're going to get JK Land to do a 50-bolt torque test. I'm going to bring you guys along with me so that we can see what all is involved in this. Let's go. So we're here at JK Land. And the first thing I love to do is just get a tour around the store because they are always working on some new, innovative, and crazy sick projects. So let's meet up with Steve and see what he's got going on in JK Land today.
Yeah, this is the 850 horsepower Demon power plant. Crazy. It's going to be dropped into a 2021 Rubicon.
Oh my gosh. 850 horsepower?
Yeah. You know it's a true Demon because the block's red.
Yeah.
Valve covers are red. Look down in there, but the block is red. It's special production from Mopar. Hard to get. Very limited production. It's like you've heard of Hellcat?
Yeah.
It's the next, so a Hellcat has about 705. These go up to right around 850.
Oh my gosh.
This has a bigger blower on it, smaller pulley so that spins the blower faster, more fuel, more air. That's how you make the thing run. Takes two fuel pumps. Two separate fuel pumps on it. The transmissions, basically race application. 8XP 95. It's good for almost 1,000 horsepower. So these are replacement seats for your Jeep. We can custom design them to different stitching patterns, different color coordinations, different options. You have a front pocket here. You can put goggles, glasses, wallet. Has a lumbar behind it so you can pump this up for support. Give yourself some support. It has reclining to it. Has a leather. It's faux leather because it's really made to be able to be used outdoors and get wet and not deteriorate like real leather would.
Right.
But it's got that ostrich skin tone to it. And then this is a carbon fiber weave red and comes in other colors like black, brown, you name it. It has those colors to it.
And what's the you got another lumbar here between the legs here?
Well, this comes out purposes and whatnot. But this is really supports your weight much better than a standard seat because it's shaped and contoured to fit your legs.
Right.
So when you're sitting in this, it really supports you really well. And it's called a suspension style seat. And when you're driving long distances, it's super comfortable.
Right.
This is also made for a harness. So if you look at Ruby, has a set of harnesses that goes over your shoulder. They come through here and they attach to a harness bar behind you. You know, sometimes when you're on these crazy angles and then your seatbelt locks, you can't move at all. Well, this lets you loosen up and adjust for that situation. So when you're up, you can even unbuckle a little bit and kind of get out of it.
Yeah.
It's way better for off-roading when you're at these crazy angles than using your stock safety belts. So a lot of owners will have their stock safety belts too. They can use day to day, and then they'll have the harnesses to be able to use for some of these extreme off-roading.
So this one here, he's getting a Hemi 392 swap. It's a it's a split swap, so we pull the body off the chassis. This kit does not come with a transmission, so he reuses his Nag 1 transmission. We reuse the transfer case. On this one, I did a little bit of a frame cleanup, repainted the frame a little bit. He's got suspension going in it as well. He's trussing the front axle. He's got chromoly axle shafts.
What's he planning on using this for? I mean, I know he's from Key West, but I mean,
it's really just his everyday driver, and he's going to be doing a little bit of off-roading. Not any heavy rock crawling, but some fun trails.
yeah. So what kind of suspension are you putting on this one?
On this one, he has a little bit of a mix between a Terraflex kit. He's doing the Terraflex springs. He's doing Falcon shocks and a Falcon steering stabilizer. He's doing Yeti Steer Smarts steering components.
Yeah.
That kit is kind of a base for JK Land. We like to do that same kit in a lot of our Jeeps. It's tested and performs really well up to our standards. So the Steer Smarts Yeti with the Terraflex lift kit and the Falcon stabilizers and shocks.
Cool. Awesome. Half of my electrical on the front's not working because I buried it.
Oh, jeez.
I buried it in wet rock, like the whole front end was under the mud. So we just pulled it in on the lift. We're going to jack this thing up. I think we're going to do a wheel alignment, and then we're going to go through and do our 50-bolt torque check. Make sure that all of our bolts are torqued down to the correct specs. Let's get this thing up in the air. How many of these do you get people coming in to do these 50-bolt torque checks?
Unfortunately, not as much as there should be.
Yeah.
We always
Well, I don't know how many people actually know about it, because I know I didn't know about it until at the Georgia Jeep Alliance when I was talking to Rob.
If we're doing a lift kit on somebody's, we usually try and tell them. We should be telling them every time.
Yeah.
We even try and schedule them preemptively, like, hey, you just had a lift kit.
Yeah.
In 500 to 1,000 miles, you should come back for a torque check. In my opinion, anytime you do any kind of suspension work, stuff should always be double torqued and torque checked, unless it's excessively Loctited. Bolts tend to come loose.
Yeah.
You know, that due to vibrations and natural frequencies, it's kind of just.
And that's why you're marking it there with the red pin, is for the recheck to see.
Yes. 2 reasons. Mainly for a recheck. If you have any noise concerns, a rattle, knocking noise, it's a lot easier to see if something loosened up when you have marks from when it was tight. And I also do that kind of in my mind to keep track of what I've torqued, what I haven't torqued.
Gotcha.
So it's a good way to run through the Jeep, and then afterwards you can go back through and do a quick visual and know that you didn't miss something.
Right.
Because everything should be marked. You see, just off of that one, I got almost 3/4 turns. That's how much it had loosened up. And it's just good maintenance too. It prolongs the life of your bushings, prolongs the life of all your components when everything's tight and up to spec. Take that wheel off.
Are you going to take it off?
Yeah, sometimes the only way to get them to stop spinning is to pull the nut back off and run it back down. Gotcha. And it gives a little bit more torque into that tapered sleeve. These are upper control arms.
Okay.
On the axle side. I've already got the frame side, now I'm just doing the axle side. These tend to loosen up, and these are the bushings that tend to go bad most commonly, are the upper control arms. And in my opinion, one of the leading causes of death wobble. Not bump steer, death wobble.
Right.
Usually caused by those bad bushings, letting the axle shift back and forth.
So we spent all day out here at JK Land. My friend Michael here went in, tightened down all of my torque screws, my 50 bolt check, all down to torque specs. We found a couple of issues. So everything's been tightened down. It should be squeaky clean right now. There's one more issue, I think, that's on the back axle. We may have to weld a truss on there, but we'll address that in a later video. But Michael, thanks for hanging out with me, man. Thanks for doing this
Anytime,
work
it's a pleasure.
on my Jeep. And we love coming out here to JK Land. If you guys need any work done on your Jeep, come out here to JK Land in Douglasville. You guys, this place is awesome. They've got everything. See ya. Okay, so I wanted to pop on real quick for one last comment. It's taken me about an hour to drive back from JK Land to my home, and I can tell you, oh my gosh, the difference in the drivability of the Jeep. One, there's no clanking noise at all. Have you ever driven a Jeep that doesn't have some sort of clanking noise coming from the suspension? I haven't. My Jeep has made noise ever since I bought it. There is not one peep of a noise coming from the suspension of this Jeep. Two, I didn't expect the steering to become that responsive and that sensitive. I would highly recommend, if you haven't done a bolt torque check on your suspension, it's well worth the visit to go up to JK Land and have them torque everything down appropriately, especially if you've been driving on it and wheeling on it for 2-3 years and you've never done it. You need to get that done.